Well, hello and welcome to Awaken Your Human Design. My name is Moni. This is my co-host, Danny. We will be continuing our holidays in human design exploration.
Yeah, I love that we're exploring this, Moni, because it's just a unique flavor. And these are, they're not strictly uniquely American holidays, but many of them are sort of, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the basis is very like American holidays as well as Christian holidays. That's my background. I would love to hear from our audience. Like, if you have another cultural or religious background and you notice that those line up with human design, I would love to hear about it. Like, please drop that down in the comments because
Yeah.
I would imagine there's a connection. I can only speak through like my lens and my experience, but I would
Yep.
love to hear from anyone else who's noticed this with, other holidays I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I just love that we're doing this and actually you'll see many of these things, they just make such good sense and they really flavor out a story. So apparently there's no accidents here. We're all in a program, folks. Get used to it.
Absolutely. So thank
Mhm.
you to all our viewers. Thank you to everyone who's liking and subscribing. It really helps us. So starting off, we're going to be jumping into April Fools, which is another one of the holidays that I totally looked up on a lark. Like, I did not think that there's going to be any kind of connection. It's just this silly day, but let me see. And turns out there is a connection. So April Fool's Day is April 1st, and it lines up with gates 21 and 48 within human design in the sun and the earth. And these line up with the crosses of tension and control. And so the 21 is about control, and then the 48 is about depth or a lack of depth. The incarnation crosses read as natural boundary setters who like being in control of their environment, and they're good at policing / supervising situations. And then the cross of control reads as fixed and fulfilling ambition, demanding to be in control to innovate and start something new. And so I thought this was really funny as
April Fools.
yeah, as April Fools, because one, it's like it's control and poking at control. Like, oh, you want to be in control? He. I'm gonna poke at you, which I thought was like really hilarious. And then it got even more amusing because the 21 and links up with gate 45 to make the channel 2145, and that's the gate of the king. It's this like monarchical gate of the king or the queen kind of energy. And then 48 is about depth, but also a lack of depth, and lacking depth would make somebody a fool. And so as I kept thinking about this, I was like, oh, this is the king and the jester. This is about the king being in control of something and the jester being that one who gets to like poke some fun and speak some truth and like mess with his control and he to like provide that juxtaposition of like order and disorder. So historically, it's like you get the days, you get certain holidays where you get to be disorderly, right? Hey, this is what we live in the order all the time, but you get your, your Halloween, or you get your Mardi Gras, or you get your April Fools to show that juxtaposition. So some history of April Fools. There's some link to a Roman festival of Hilaria, which would be around like March 25th. And this involved people dressing in disguises and mocking their fellow citizens and officials. There's also the medieval Feast of Fools, when a mock bishop or pope would be elected and church customs would be parodied. And there's also various spring festivals that celebrated the vernal equinox and the unpredictable nature of the changing seasons. And so by the 18th century, April Fool's Day was widespread through Britain. And one of the earliest recorded references comes from 1686, when John Aubrey mentioned Fool's Holy Day in his writings. And then in Scotland, there's this tradition known as hunting the gowk, Gowk, and that's a word for a cuckoo bird or the symbol for a fool. And then by the 19th century, April Fool's Day had evolved from simple pranks to elaborate hoaxes, often perpetrated by newspapers. And today, April Fools is celebrated worldwide with practical jokes ranging from simple personal pranks to elaborate corporate hoaxes, particularly by media companies, technology firms, and different countries have developed their own April Fool's tradition. In France, the day is called Poisson d'Avril, which is April fish, where children tape paper fish to people's backs and act silly. And in Poland, serious activities are avoided and the media is filled with jokes, and it's just like a silly time. So I wanted to provide a little bit of
Interesting.
a little bit of like April Fool's history that then, touches into this idea of the king and the jester and playing with order and disorder.
It also says, hey, tension, which is both the gates together. Hey, tension, lighten up. In a way, it's just loosen your grip for a little bit. Okay, back to normal after that, right?
Yeah.
I
And
like it.
then that's funny too, because you just said tension. The graphic I ended up picking, it's almost like a Jack in the Box. So the
Yeah,
spring being under tension. So you have this tension that's building, 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 and then eventually it's going to shoot out and cause that like surprise, which is funny
indeed.
because then the 51 is after the 21.
Right,
So then
right.
there's your shock and surprise.
And it's there to withstand it. It's so funny because whether depth or lack of depth, its desire to share this identifying with something outside of what was someone else's is the basic nature of an April Fool's like joke in a way. It really did come forward. 48 is the one that says April Fools, unless 21's in on it. And then 21 controls the environment and makes sure the April Fools goes off like a pageant and it really worked, Either way, you're getting it.
Absolutely. I just thought it was like really cute and silly that at this time of control and foolishness, like lack of depth, and just the king and the jester. It's like, oh, you want to set boundaries and you like being in control of your environment, policing and supervising. Well, he. I'm gonna poke at you and make some fun and like cause some disorder.
And you're not necessarily in control of the thing. Yeah, I get it. I get it. It's a way to test it in a way too.
Oh,
Testing the controls. Yeah.
yeah, how control are you? And are you even like, are you in control of your emotions? Are you gonna like freak out completely? Or are you gonna be more cool and collected? Which would be like a king would have to be, like a good king would be more cool and collected of like, okay, I can get it, you're playing a joke on me, and like not freak out.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I think this matches up pretty good. The control agent and then the jester. And the jester, be they a fool or not. They don't have to be a total fool, the jester, to poke fun at. In fact, they could be very deep and know a bunch of things and now poke fun from a place of supremacy in a way. So it's really the whole gamut.
Yeah, that's that thing of like the clown gets to poke the fun, the jester gets to poke the fun. And like, sure, you had like stupid fools, but like a good jester, could be very smart. And by displaying themselves as a clown, as a fool, then they actually get to
Yep.
sometimes speak some truth. And they're
Yep.
the ones who get to say the stuff that to the king that no one else gets to say to the king. Like you need your comedians in your
Right.
society to poke some fun, to maybe say some things. It's like the emperor with no clothes on, and it's like everyone's like, oh, you look great, you look great, and then the little boy is like, he's not wearing anything, he's naked. Like you need someone who can speak that truth and can poke at that control.
Very interesting, Moni. I'm so glad you chose to run down this rabbit hole. It's not so much of a rabbit hole after all, is it? It's
Yeah.
just rather sensible.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad to be exploring this with you because it's like, I would maybe look up a little bit on my own, but never go this deep. And so because we have the show and I have you to like nerd out with this, it's like, why not?
Hmm.
Let's just make this a video because we can and it's fun. So thank you, Danny.
There you go. Thank you, Moni. Good deal.
Yeah.
April Fools, everybody. This is
Happy April Fools.
yeah, quick energy showing up for the time. Tell us how it fits in.
Yeah, super fun.